Welcome to this edition of the Kingston International Film Festival programme. Today we're going to be looking at the first of a series of programmes about filmmaking around the globe, the ins and outs, the highs, the lows, the joy and the pain. Today's destination is Colombia and a British filmmaker who spent some time in the country along with his Colombian executive producer. Hi everyone and welcome to this interview for Kingston International Film Festival today. I'm Jo Rogers and today I have the great pleasure to meet a director and executive producer who have submitted their short film entitled Santi to the film festival. Welcome Harry Richards and Marvin Vivas. It's great to meet you. Harry, it's good to meet you. You wrote and directed Santi. Tell us about your connections to Colombia, where it's set, and how you came to think up the concept for the film.
Santi actually came from my own experience living in Colombia for 6 months. So I spent some time there working for the national newspaper El Tiempo. I was just really struck by this kind of feeling of isolation that I felt, even despite sort of speaking the language and reading and writing it quite well. I was really kind of shocked by the difficulties I encountered, kind of leaping into this foreign culture and feeling quite at odds with the customs and the humour particularly. And then I started kind of talking to Marvin when Marvin moved to the UK. What was it? Last March? 2 Marches ago, March 2020. And then we kind of started to realise that we had this quite sort of similar experience of feeling quite out of place in this new culture. So while mine was moving to Colombia, Marvin's was moving to the UK. So that I had already kind of written this sort of first draft of this feature film script, but instead of writing it about my experience as a kind of an English boy moving to Colombia, I thought it'd be more interesting to have the film become a critique on our own culture and kind of take a look at how London as a city kind of embraces or doesn't quite embrace immigrants, particularly Colombian immigrants.
Yeah. And Marvin, for you, coming across obviously over here, and you were able to really immerse yourself and work really hard with Harry to kind of collaborate on the script originally. Is that right?
Yeah, that's totally correct. My experience was, I would say, a little bit more intense because I basically went to the UK, to London, without expecting that 2 weeks after I was going to be under lockdown. And that was a very intense situation. And I think that when Harry started telling me the story about how about Santi and what he wanted to present, like what the kind of feelings that he wanted to share with everyone, that's probably everyone had felt at some point if they have traveled or lived abroad. So I feel very identified, and also Santi's Colombia, I'm Colombian, so I fortunately could give him some good insights, and that was basically part of my job, just making sure that it would feel well represented in the screen, and especially on that situation.
Yes, so it's great to have that immersive and authentic voice in the movie. And going forward, tell me about your plans to shoot a 90-minute feature. Is that right? So this is the sort of proof of concept of, as you've called it, the inspiration for the 90-minute film. Tell us about how you see that going forward and when you plan to shoot.
So, I mean, the proof of concept actually came from the first draft that I wrote of the feature film script. I wrote the feature film script, and then the producer, so Marvin's our executive producer, the producer, Stan Stott Hall, and I basically decided we were going to take one scene, and instead of trying to write the whole script and get that funded straight off the bat, we thought, okay, we'll take the opening scene, we'll do that really well, we'll try and develop the script to a high level, we'll bring in some fantastic Colombian executive producers, so Marvin and David, to basically ensure that the story we're telling was as authentic as possible to the Colombian experience. And then we'll take that film out to festivals and basically try and draw attention to this story that we feel like is so important to tell and universal to so many people. And basically start to build this audience and create this engagement with the themes and the style and the feeling of the film. So then going forward, we're able to prove to people that it's worth investing in our project as a 90-minute feature film.
Yes, and you're planning on shooting in Colombia. Is that right?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
So tell me about how easy is it going to be to film in Colombia, and what sort of complications can you see arising?
What you touched on there about how misrepresented Colombia is on screen was something that Marvin, and all of the rest of the cast and crew were really kind of keen on changing that kind of representation on screen. Because quite often Colombia is represented as this place dominated by drugs and violence, when in fact, so many other beautiful assets to this country, which is what really struck me when I lived there. I think that's why so many people have connected with this story so far, because it's sharing a different part of the culture.
Santi, the main character, he's from Ocaña, which is a small town in the north of Colombia, close to Venezuela. I'm from the capital from that department or state, so I'm very familiar with that region. So it's very beautiful. I'm sure that it's gonna have beautiful landscapes. The village is beautiful. It's more about the interaction with the people. The only like the good thing is that people will feel delighted to be part of a film. So I am sure that we're gonna have so many funny situations with people wanting to interact or be part of it. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting.
And will you be using people who are local to the village, or are you going to take your crew, or are you going to do a mixture of both things when you film out in Colombia?
So I think kind of at the heart of our project has always been the importance of having this mixture of British and Colombian crew. So I mean, our lead actor John is British Colombian. Our first assistant director is British Colombian. But naturally, shooting in the UK so far for the short, we've had predominantly kind of UK crew. But I think when we go out to shoot in Colombia, we'll be taking that core kind of crew of 10 with the sort of heads of department and the execs and everything. But then we will definitely be looking for local crew, and we will be involving all of our actors for Santi's family will be from Ocaña itself. We're making a film that we really want to feel real and present, and it's so important that we're using real Colombian people to get that across on screen, because I just don't think that we would never want to substitute out those people and those extras, and it's so important that the community is deeply involved in the story we're trying to tell.
Okay, good. And also talking of authentic Colombian experiences, what about authentic Colombian money? Are you going to go for a full co-production, UK Colombian co-production? How do you think you're going to structure your finance?
We would like, for sure, we would certainly like to have some element of co-production when we go into the development phase on the film, and I'll be going out and spending some time in Colombia as we cast the project, and as we find the locations as well. And I think that will be the real opportunity to open up that conversation with Colombian production companies and funding bodies to really bring in that Colombian financing element. And I think one part of our strategy at the moment is kind of starting to open those conversations by submitting the film to Colombian film festivals based around the country, as well as just UK and other international film festivals.
And Marvin, tell me about the film industry in Colombia.
Well, I have to say that in the last years, even during the pandemic, there has been some amazing like films shot here. Like for example, there is um, a museum of modern art here in Medellin that they do like every few months some like festivals for film and usually Colombian film, but also Spanish. And I think that here in Colombia is moving a lot. There's a lot of motivation for young people to work on their films, especially short films, but also the long short one, the long films too.
Oh, well, that's great to hear. So there are incentives of all kinds to get that film made in Colombia. Are we going to lose you to Colombia, Harry? Are you going to become a filmmaker who deserts the homeland and ends up in Colombia making movies? Is it going to be more attractive out there to make movies?
Being able to shoot across two countries will be a fascinating experience to see how another film industry operates in a very different country. And I think it will really help to kind of give some perspective on the British film industry, which can be quite absorbing and overwhelming, particularly as there is so much being made at the moment. It's difficult to kind of make a mark, I would say, in the sort of make an impression. And I think my experience of sort of being out in Colombia is that sort of feeling of it being slightly easier to make a stamp because people are a lot more excited by this sort of quite new industry. And as there are sort of these tax incentives in Colombia and there are more films shooting out there, it feels like a slightly newer industry that we're just going to be a small part of by shooting some of our film out there.
Tell me about the casting, Marvin.
Yeah, no, it's a really like kind of funny story. Basically, once just I was staying in London, we were like neighbors. My girlfriend's family lived really close to Harry's, so he just called me one day. Hey mate, I'm just trying to find the main character for my short film, Santi, and we have been working on the script and everything. I was like, yeah, I'm done. Let's do it. So what was our ideas? It was just go to the places where usually like Latino people. There were like you could find Latin people like in the what is this market called?
Brixton Market.
In Brixton Market, yeah. So we went on our bikes, like bicycles, and then we were like literally just like this, but on our like backpacks we have like chairs to put on. So just to go like in the restaurant, so we lock our bikes and then we just in the street just take your top off and then put the shirt on just to look a little bit more serious, and then just go there and say like, hey.
Collared shirts. We had our collared shirts in our backpack. But I should say that the reason why we had to go out into these areas like Brixton and Elephant and Castle is because while we had so many people kind of volunteering themselves for the English-British supporting cast, it was really difficult to find a Colombian living in London who was a really good actor, who knew how to speak fluent English and fluent Spanish. So as Marvin said, we went to Brixton Market, we went to Elephant and Castle, and we went to every restaurant, bar, club, hairdressers, shopping centre, literally everywhere, with our little casting sort of speech. So Marvin, we were both saying it in Spanish, and we kind of take it in turns to do the spiel. Marvin would fill in some bits, I'd say the others. And we met some terrible actors that day. A lot of people sort of bringing down their sons and their nephews saying, oh, I've got the perfect person for the role. And we had some sort of weird live auditions. And anyway, we got to the end of the day without having found Santi, but someone suggested that we basically go on these online Facebook groups. So these sort of Colombianos en Londres, these Colombians in London groups. So we put our casting call on there. And a week later, we had the most brilliant self-tape in our inbox from John Gutierrez, who is now our fantastic lead actor in the film.
Oh, it sounds great fun. It sounds like you had a really good time, and congratulations on shooting your movie, especially during lockdown, especially during difficult times that we've all been living through. And I wish you every success with the movie. And I look forward to speaking to you again and hopefully seeing your 90-minute film when it's in the can. Let's all wish Harry and Marvin the very best of luck with their film. I'm looking forward to seeing them in a few months' time at KIFF. Just to remind you, KIFF is open for submissions until the 21st of April. And for all you budding screenwriters out there, take note of our Short Screenplay Award. In short, you win it, we'll shoot it. That's got to be an award worth having. Like, subscribe, and tell your friends about us. And we'll see you soon.